Hey, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight here on Post. We are glad to have you tonight. So, tonight is December 20th on a beautiful Tuesday. I know it's cold outside, but we still going to welcome you in. We live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and our positions on Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. Of course, we are your sports talk heads. And this show is made for the fans from the perspective of these fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. My name is Professor J, and tonight I'm joined by my partners in crime. We got J3. Say what's up, J3.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, Post fam? What's up, Big Reg? What's up, Professor J? Let's get it.
What's going on, my brother? And we also got our brother Big Reg in the house. What's up, Big Reg?
What's going on, fellas? I hope y'all can hear me. I'm having a little technical difficulties on my end, but glad you stepped up for us as usual, Professor J. I appreciate that, and let's talk some sports.
Amen, brother. So once again, we'll probably be joined by a couple of our other partners in crime, and they'll get in where they fit in. But we're going to kick things off tonight, fellas. So tonight, we're going to have our quick hits as usual, our NBA update. We got our NFL Week 15, and man, were those some big comebacks this weekend. So we definitely going to get into that. And then, of course, we got the post takes and our final takes of the evening. So we appreciate everyone from tuning in right now. Just hit pause, hit that like button, hit that share button. Go ahead and send that out to your networks right now so we can start letting people know about that fire that we bring on this show. So thanks for tuning in. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Post. Yes, sir.
Hey, before we get into the quick hits, a couple of quick announcements we have. First, a major announcement starting on January 3rd. Our show, Positional Sports Talk Show, will be changing the starting time of the show from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. for our Tuesday live shows. Same day, we're just going to give you the same great show just an hour later. So starting again, January 3rd, we're going to start our show at 8 p.m. and bring it to you every week on Tuesdays. The second quick announcement is next week, we're going to drop our annual Boxing Year in Review show. We're going to record it and then upload it to all our platforms for you so you folks be able to enjoy it. It's come an annual thing, and thank you, Professor J, for reminding me about it because we had to let that slip by. So we're going to give you some views, and Queensbury Tony says he's going to be in the building, so we look forward to chopping it up, talking boxing. So I just wanted to get that in real quick. If you want me to jump in and take over, if it seems to be running a little smooth, I can, or you can keep control of the steering wheel.
You got it. Go ahead, Big Reg.
All right. In your quick hits, the Masters announced that any golfers that would have qualified based on the 2022 criteria to make the Masters will be allowed to play in the 2023 Masters. This makes the way for some of the now Live Tour golfers to play in this year's Masters, which is a major blow to the PGA. because a lot of the people that left the Live Tour was like, with the exception of the majors, if I can go play in different tournaments and make more money, why wouldn't I? So now that the Masters fell in line, I expect the Open, or as we call it, the British Open, to follow suit. Now, the PGA Championship might not, because it's run by the PGA. But it seems like Live Golf is going to have a second life to it with this announcement by the Masters. Did y'all hear about the situation involving the military academies and athletes that attend the military academies that kind of went unknown until last Friday when the FY23 National Defense Authorization Act was passed? Give you an update. In 2019, a provision was put into law allowing National Military Academy athletes, whether that's the Naval Academy, the U.S. Military Academy for the Army, the Air Force Academy, Coast Guard Academy. In 2019, they allowed for you to be able to apply for a waiver if you were an athlete that had a good chance of being drafted and could pursue a professional career right after college. They will give you an opportunity where you can submit a waiver, and if granted, allow you to go play your professional sports right away. In your off seasons, you would have to serve, and then once you finish serving your professional sports, whatever time you have remaining, you'd be able to complete that. Well, this new National Defense Authorization Act that was passed late Thursday, Friday came up that this little unknown blurb was put in it revoking that. That was a problem because Army star linebacker Andre Carter II, who is currently projected as a top 50 NFL draft pick and possibly a number 1 draft pick, would have been majorly affected. So people went in uproar because his family said if they'd have known this was going to be revoked and there wasn't going to be a grandfathering, he would have transferred. Because if you go to the military academies, after your first 2 years, you have to, I believe it's called reaffirm your commitment, which means after that, if you stay, you're in and you got to do your time. Or if you don't graduate, you got to pay back the cost of them putting you through school plus some other ramifications. So this was going to be a big issue, but luckily, if the FY23 Omnibus National Spending Package gets passed, they put some wording in that to grandfather in players that were in the academy before June of 2021. So that was a real PR nightmare that happened over 3 days that they fixed.
Let me ask you this. Wasn't David Robinson affected by that act years ago?
Well, David Robinson actually had to serve. He ended up serving 2 years before he was actually eligible to come, and then they allowed him to do his remaining time in the reserves. But David Robinson actually served 2 years. But in 2019, because remember Navy had the quarterback that was doing real well, that was people thought he might be draft eligible,
right?
And he ended up playing for the Ravens a couple of years,
right? Right.
When that was going on, that's when this happened. So they put this in place saying you can apply for a waiver. Didn't mean you're going to get granted, but if you're good enough, they'll grant it. If you just a late round draft pick in the NFL or not going to get drafted, you're probably not going to get granted. But in this case, where this guy led the nation in sacks last season and is definitely considered a top prospect in the NFL, that was a problem.
Wow.
J3, you're the military person. What are your thoughts on people going to the academy? Should they be allowed to pursue a professional sports career if they do well enough at the academy, and that's a possibility?
You know, I knew you was going to ask me this question, and you're really not going to like my answer. But when you sign on that dotted line, you sign to serve. So everything else is secondary. Your commitment is to whatever branch of service that you sign up for.
Understood. I figured that's what you was gonna say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
But it's big PR for the military. And that's kind of where this came from. When they were getting all the PR, because it has been since 1947 that a military academy graduate has been drafted in the first or second round of any professional sports draft. So this is big publicity.
It's big, but again, when you sign on the dotted line and you swear to affirm and defend, that's where your loyalty is. Sports is secondary, bro.
What round was Roger Staubach drafted in?
I think Staubach didn't go until back then. It was still early, but I think he was like a 6th or 7th round draft pick because they knew he was going to serve,
right?
And they would have to wait.
Right. Yeah, that's the first name that popped into my mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, David Robinson.
Yeah. We got to say congrats to Lionel Messi and the Argentina men's soccer team
Bravo.
winning the men's World Cup.
Bravo.
What a game.
Fellas, that was a final for the ages. I'm not a huge soccer/football fan, but I turned on that game and I saw that Messi had scored on a penalty kick early in the first half, switched over to watch the pregame about college football, switched back, saw that Argentina was up 2-0. I was like, oh, that's over. Turned it on in the second half, and man, I was riveted. Yo, Kylian Mbappe, that man scored 2 goals in a 2-minute span to tie that game.
Right.
And I couldn't turn it off after that. I was stuck.
Shoot. He almost had a third at the end of regulation. His foot play is ridiculous, man. He can move that ball like cats in the NBA be dribbling. It's crazy just to watch his footwork and how he moves the ball. Big Reg, I just don't like that it ended in PKs, man. Penalty kicks, man. Yeah,
that's the game. That's the game.
I know, but for the championship, they should rewrite the rules for that. You should play until you get a goal, a winner, man. That's how I feel. That's kind of.
But if they change it, then you're gonna have the same thing that we have in the NFL. Every year, the daggone overtime rules get changed because somebody doesn't like how the game ends. So they stick until the way the football was actually put into effect, and they ain't changing it. Trust and believe.
Yeah, that's a tough way to lose a championship. That's the same way in the MLS when LA Galaxy, I think, beat Philly. It was the same way. It came down to PKs, man. I just don't like them ending that way, man. I want to see some real action.
Yeah, I would love to see they finish the 90 minutes and the injury time, then they go to 2 15-minute halves for overtime. I would say in the championship game, just the championship game, because I understand suffering and the players getting too tired. But in that final championship game, after that, make it a sudden death, 15-minute period. Just make it 15-minute periods, play 15 minutes. If nobody scores, give them a break. Then another 15 minutes until somebody scores. That's what they do in the NHL in the playoffs. During the regular season, they do the shootouts, but in the playoffs, somebody got scored.
Keep going, right? Keep going.
And that's when you gotta have a bench because that's a long time to be running up and down that field.
Hey, if you want that title, you're gonna have to leave it all out on the field.
No doubt.
Absolutely. So again, congratulations to Messi. The one missing piece in his storied career. Now he has a legitimate argument of being the best soccer/football player of all time after this. We also got to say congrats out to North Carolina Central for winning the Celebration Bowl this Saturday, beating Jackson State 41-34 in overtime. That game was thrilling, especially in the second half and overtime. The North Carolina Central win ruined Jackson State's chances for an undefeated season, and the only loss this year in Coach Prime's last game at JSU. But that was a heck of a game. And the way it ended with a JSU player, a tight end
know.
dropping the touchdown pass,
Right
could
in
have
his
forced
hand.
It was
another
right
overtime.
there.
It was tough, but
They
again,
probably still hazing him right now.
yeah, that's gonna be tough. Also want to shout out Coach Prime again. I know y'all may think I'm a Prime homer. I just think he did so much. He had one of his assistant coaches that he recommended to the administration to hire, JC Taylor, got hired as the new head coach at Jackson State. So not only did Prime put stuff in place, one of the men who was with him for 3 years to show what he did to put in place is now going to be running that program. So as long as the faculty and administration support him, they should still be able to continue that thing rolling. Maybe not at the level as this, but they still should be able to keep that thing rolling.
And also don't forget to mention that he's an alumni of the program. So he's no stranger to the school.
Absolutely. He loves that school. That's his dream job. So that's a person that you probably don't have to worry about leaving anytime soon, because that is his heart's there. So All right, fellas, let's get into this NBA, man. And just when we thought the NBA was going to start to get real good, man, we got some major injuries. Golden State Warriors lose guard Steph Curry. He hyperextended his left non-shooting shoulder. But even with that, they say he's going to miss multiple weeks to heal. We also got Anthony Davis. We all knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of
Mr.
when.
Glass.
He was just running up and down the court, fellas, and hurt his foot. Going to be out for a month.
Man, he earning that nickname, Mr. Glass. I swear. Good gracious.
So it'll be interesting to see how the Warriors and the Lakers hold up. Did y'all hear the big news today, though?
What's that?
What's up?
Billionaire Matt Ishbia
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
has agreed in principle to purchase the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury from suspended Governor Robert Sarver for an NBA record $4 billion for both teams in the arena.
Must be nice. That's that long money.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, Ishbia is the CEO of UWM Holdings, which is a Chicago-based mortgage lender. He was also a member of the Michigan State 2000 National Championship Spartans men's basketball team as a walk-on.
Wow.
He's going to be joined in his endeavor by his brother, who's going to be the secondary governor, who's also going to make a major contribution. And he's a big financier as well. So two brothers are carrying most of the weight and going to buy the Phoenix program all in one swoop. They've got to go through the rigmarole of getting approved and all that, but they say that's just a formality because this Mr. Ishbia has been trying to buy an NBA club, they say, for the past 3 to 4 years. He was also trying to buy a couple of NFL clubs, including the Denver Broncos, and was just outbid. So he made an offer that the current governor couldn't refuse because the last highest amount ever paid for a team was $2.3 billion when Joe Tsai. No, when Joe Tsai bought the Nets.
Okay.
Wow.
The owner of the Clippers paid $2 billion, and that was said that was outrageous.
Yeah.
And Joe Tsai paid $2.3 billion. Fertitta paid $2.2 billion for the Houston Rockets, but $4 billion for the Phoenix Suns. So
Ballmer owns the Clippers, right? Ballmer, Steve Ballmer.
That's a lot of zeros.
I know, man.
A lot of zeros.
Look, the Washington Commanders gonna go for much more than that, though. Just stay tuned.
Yeah, just think about that. An NBA team just went for $4 billion. How much is an NFL team,
Yeah, that's
especially a
peanuts.
storied NFL team? So, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
BJ,
That's
you like that, BJ? Your Phoenix teams? You good?
So, Professor, I know you happy these days. Your Bucks just cruising along, like we said last week, have taken the lead in the Eastern Conference and have the NBA's best record right now, 22-8. They're getting healthier, and Brook Lopez is balling.
Isn't he? Yes. Isn't he? Yeah, the last 3 years of his career, man, I'm just like, where this guy been all of his life? Because he's been balling. But yeah, I love it. Long as he stays healthy, we don't do some AD stuff over here. We'll be all right. Even Bobby Portis was balling the other night. So I'm comfortable.
Yeah, Portis has been having a great year. When he had to start in the beginning of the year, he was, fringe all-star level playing. So now that he's back on the bench, so you got that coming off the bench, and you got your boy Middleton is working himself back in. You can see he's still out of sync a little bit. But I mean, that's great. As long as they don't have any more major injuries, they're scary. Your Boston Celtics, they kind of hit a little lull. They've been playing 500 ball for the last 10 games. They're still only a half game back of the Bucks, but it seems like they're just in a little funk. Maybe that's the newness of the new coaches wearing off, but I still think they're one of the top 2 to 3 teams in the league, period. What's your thoughts?
Absolutely.
Yeah, can't argue that. I mean, we were a little nervous about what happened with their coach, but they handled that pretty well and came out firing. So Boston is, barring any injuries, they should be there at the end, fighting the Bucks for that top seed to move on for that championship. But I'm loving the NBA. Y'all know me, I don't really get into the NBA like that until the Christmas games and beyond. So we're at that moment. So I'm starting to get ramped up.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. One of the funnest teams to watch currently in the Eastern Conference. This new Cleveland Cavaliers team, oh my goodness, they're playing really good basketball. They're starting to fit everything together. Donovan Mitchell is balling.
He'll be here shortly. We'll hit the rewind on this quote.
You wrong for that, BJ. You real wrong for that.
Yeah, talk about the Lakers.
Yeah, we gonna get to the West in a second, but yeah. So the Cleveland Cavaliers are a fun young team to watch, and we mentioned it last week. We gotta start putting some respect on these Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, 4th in the East. They done won 9 out of the last 10. They'd have even dusted off Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin been balling the last 4 or 5 games.
Well, I mean, Blake still has it in him because he wants a championship. He ain't won one yet, right. And so he's still yearning for one. He is a durable player. He still has a skill set. So I mean, why not?
Yeah, he gonna keep yearning though. It's nice to have dreams, but that's not getting fulfilled. Not unless he skip town and end up on Boston or Milwaukee squad.
I don't know, man. If Kyrie and KD can continue to play as teammates, dude, don't sleep on him.
J3.
Okay.
What happens to them in the playoffs, especially with Kyrie? He on the back of a milk carton. He missing. That's all I got to say. And KD can't beat those 2 teams I just named by himself.
Sure can't. That's for
and
sure.
His body wears down. You can see that at the end of the year, KD started getting tired from carrying that team all year. So
that's because they gave away half their team, but we'll keep moving.
Over in the Western Conference, you got the Memphis Grizzlies have taken over the lead in the Western Conference with a 19-10 record, winning 8 out of that last 10. Man, the Grizzlies going to be a problem.
Young Gunners. That's some young Gunners right there.
As long as Ja is healthy come playoff time with the rest of that young group, I mean, they starting to look really, really good. And they not scared of anybody. Matter of fact, they hoping to see Golden State in the playoffs.
Yeah, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Then you got the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. I wonder if this. Do y'all think this news of the purchase and knowing that, Sarver might be going somewhere to? Oh, we done went from them. He announcing in September that he's going to put the team up for sale before Christmas. They talking about they got a deal done, and from what I read, they expected that deal to be finalized this week, and then put up for approval. So this guy could be the new owner by early January. Do you think that'll take some of that pressure, not pressure, but that stigma and that whole cloud that's been over that organization, and then kind of free them up to even play better?
I think so. I mean, just like I mean, it's not gonna happen this year, but I gotta keep, because of the situation, I keep referencing Washington. You know, when that weight of a bad owner gets lifted off of the team, I think the whole culture and everything changes. I mean, think about back when the Clippers got sold from Silver, whatever his name was. You know, that the whole mood, the whole vibe of that team changed, and they actually turned around. I think the same thing will happen here, you know, because they still have the talent, you know, they still got great coaching. It's just when you get that big polar bear off their back, I think they'll be able to play much better.
I hear you. And also, shout out to CP3. Congratulations, Chris Paul received his diploma over the weekend. Even though he was a Wake Forest player, he went back and got his degree from Winston-Salem State, the same college that his parents both got their degrees from, and most of his family. So Chris Paul is now HBCU graduate. So shout out to Chris Paul. He played a game Thursday, got on a flight, went to graduation Friday morning, got back on a flight, and played in the game Friday night.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Good stuff.
That's a leadership role right there.
That's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Pelicans, they also kind of like Boston. They done hit a little dip, then lost 4 in a row. Had some tough losses recently. Giannis put it on them last night. They was trying to win, but Giannis wasn't having it. Giannis wasn't having it, so it's going to be interesting. And BJ, I think Kyrie's going to finish the season. Kyrie's on his best behavior because Kyrie knows he messed up his reputation so bad that if he acts up again, anything other than injury where he's hurt, he's out of the league. Because I don't think anybody else will give him a contract.
That's wasted talent too. If that were to happen.
So that's just my opinion. It's just what he got in that controversy for, that hurt. And I think that opened his eyes that, hey, you want to be your own man, but if you want to keep making these millions from the NBA, you gotta
Yeah, just wait till your career is done, young man.
Yeah, then be you, say everything you want to say. So, yeah, I wish Sense was here for this next little part of the NBA. I mean, you got the Golden State Warriors at 11th, the LA Lakers at 12th. Both of them got major injuries. LeBron sitting out every other game, it seems like, man. But the scary part about in the West, Golden State's only 2 games out, and the Lakers only 3.5 games out of the 6th spot, which is the guaranteed lock you into the spot. So they're not totally out of the race. But do you think either one of these teams is really going to be able to hang on, considering their losses, and make it to the 6th spot and not just be a play-in team?
Warriors.
Well, I see the Lakers.
Warriors. Warriors?
They gonna trend downward. I don't see them. I don't see them
Warriors.
making it. And I know Sense don't want to hear that, but with the injuries, LeBron's load management, and they still got a real lack of chemistry on the floor with that team. I just don't see it happening.
With the depth of the Warriors, you can best believe they're gonna make the playoffs. Trust and believe. And make a good run for the championship. So don't sleep on them. Mark my words.
Yeah, I would pick Golden State over the Lakers.
I hear you. I know people say I'm an apologist for this next player, but when you do crazy NBA all-time things, you got to point it out. Denver center Nikola Jokic,
Knew it.
the Joker, on Sunday did something that's only two other players in NBA history
Wilt
ever did.
is one.
Wilt Chamberlain. Anytime you in the conversation where you one of the few with Wilt and Elgin Baylor, which is score at least 40 points, grab 25 rebounds, and get 10 assists. Joker had 40, 27, and 10 in 119, 115 win over the Hornets, which means they needed every rebound, every point, and every assist to win that game.
And what's that tell you? That means they ain't gonna go far in the daggone playoffs because can't nobody else contribute. That's what that means.
Right.
That's exactly what that means.
And we know what happens to him when he's head to head with the freak. So I ain't worried about him.
Yeah, it's just it's a shame he does all this. He plays in Denver, so most people rarely see him. And then you look at all the accolades that Embiid gets, which is warranted. But I mean, this dude is doing stuff that Embiid don't have to do, in my opinion. But as Professor said, a lot of people don't get into the NBA until the Christmas Day games start. That's when people start paying attention. So this Christmas, which falls this Sunday, on ABC and ESPN, you got 5 games starting at 12 p.m. You got the 76ers versus the New York Knicks, which should be interesting. The Knicks actually playing decent basketball lately. Then you got the Lakers playing the Mavericks at 2:30 p.m., followed by probably the best game of the night, the Bucks versus Boston at 5 p.m., which should have been another great game, but it'd be interesting. The Grizzlies go to Golden State and play the Warriors. I think the Grizzlies are going to try to put it on them, especially with Steph not there. So that should be interesting. And then the night finishes out with the Suns versus the Nuggets. So you got 5 great games on the NBA. Which game? I know Professor's looking forward to watching the Bucks in Boston. So I got to ask him. Jay Cree, which game jumps out at you?
All 4 or 5 of them, because I'm going to be sleep through 3 of them. I'm going to wake up, roll over, see another one.
You funny. Yeah, so
I don't know. I would like to see the Grizzlies and the Warriors play. I think that's going to be a real good matchup. Even without Steph, I still think the Warriors have that edge because their bench is so deep. I mean, you look at the Grizzlies, they may go 6, maybe 7 at best, but the Warriors, man, they can go 11 deep easy.
Yeah, and over and under Draymond getting ejected in that game. Because he don't like them young guns. You know, he don't like all that chirping. I'm telling you, he getting ejected in that game. Watch what I tell you.
That is funny. That is funny. All right, let's move on to the NFL. Trying to keep you guys oppressive, kind of my ratings and projections. Had to make a couple of changes again this week. I had to put the San Francisco 49ers into the elite category.
Really?
I was concerned when they was down to their 3rd quarterback, but it isn't about Purdy. Even though he's actually doing stuff that they weren't doing with Jimmy G, actually throwing to the wide receivers outside the numbers more and down the field. But their defense is the best unit in football.
Yeah, they tough. They tough.
I mean, what they're doing right now, fellas, they're averaging 15 points a game giving up.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And the
that
numbers
is
coming
phenomenal.
down. So it's crazy. And then in the AFC, I had to put the Buffalo Bills back in there. The way they've been playing the last few games, it looks like they've figured some things out. So I got the Chiefs sensing the Bills as elite teams in the NFL. The only other Super Bowl contender, and I'm hesitant to say that, especially because of what BJ just said.
Oh,
I still think the Cowboys are a contender.
Are you crazy?
Nah,
You got
Big
to be
Red.
kidding, man. Stop playing.
They are not contenders.
That's the joke of the day, right?
Pretenders. Pretenders.
Because
Yes, that's what
you know they show you who they are in December. Stop playing. Come on.
Okay. I give you. I'll go with y'all. So they just a playoff team with the
Yeah,
Vikings,
that's it.
with the Bucks. I think either the Seahawks or the Lions are going to get in, and with their win on Sunday, I think the New York Giants have made their way to get that last 7 seed. What's up, J3?
Them cheaters.
I was getting ready to say the team that you should be scared or talking about is the Detroit Lions, because they on fire right now, and they shutting teams down and scoring. That's a combination for winning, bro.
Yeah, it's scary because they couldn't play any defense in the first half of the season. They started playing a little defense, and with their scoring, yeah, they're scary. So we had some crazy, major NFL injuries. The biggest one being Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts injuring his throwing shoulder. He got tackled on a run. The guy came down on him. Now, any other quarterback, if they had put their full weight tackle him, that'd have been a flag. No flag on this.
Of course. See, so it's that disparity right there that continues, and it's before our face every time. Man, Heineke would have gotten a flag on that.
Maybe.
Why you say maybe, J3?
They didn't get the flag on that last play when a dude was.
No. I'm talking about how the quarterbacks get treated. Just isolate that by itself. You know, Jalen Hurts, the game is called differently for him for some reason. For Lamar Jackson as well, for some reason. I'm not just putting it out there. For some reason.
We know what the reason is.
Go ahead, BJ. Tell us what the reason is. Oh, now you throwing Dak under the bus. Okay.
Yeah. So Hurts, even though they're saying there's chances he'll play, he ain't gonna play this week against the Cowboys. Now it's the game.
He don't need to.
Philly only has to win one more game, and they lock up the number 1 seed in the NFC throughout. So they can take their time, let him get ready, and let old Gardner Minshew come in and see what he can do for a game or two.
And you know what? That dude can win you a game or two.
Especially if you're not used to playing against him. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Colts running back Jonathan Taylor has a high ankle sprain. He's probably out for the remainder of the season.
They said he's done.
Season's done.
He probably just pissed off because they lost that game on Saturday.
Yeah, we ready to talk about that game too.
Oh my
I'd be hurt too.
Yeah, the Seattle Seahawks wide receiver Tyler Lockett broke his ring finger on his right hand, which is his dominant hand. So he's out for this weekend. True story. True story. Couldn't have said it better myself. And then a big blow to the Cowboys, but it wasn't as bad as possible. One of their starting linebackers, Leighton Vander Esch, will miss at least this week's game. They first said it was a neck issue. You know, he had to miss significant time previously for neck problems and had to have a surgery that almost ended his career. But they say it's just a pinched nerve, so they're not sure how long he's going to be out. But he will miss the game against the Eagles. So let's talk about.
He might be done for the season too.
Yeah, let's talk about the craziest game of the weekend, fellas.
Vikings Colts.
I'm sorry. The experiment is over. Unlike basketball, where you can take somebody out the studio, make them a head coach with no coaching experience, and it may work out a little bit just because they played the game. You can't do that in football. And now we've seen Jeff Saturday go from winning his first game to losing his second game by 7. To losing his second game he lost by 3 points, 2 or 3 points. The third game they played, he lost by 7. And then he gave up 30 points in the fourth quarter and lost to the Cowboys by 22. And now they have allowed the biggest comeback in NFL history. They were up 33-0 at halftime and lose to the Vikings 39-36 in overtime.
Yeah. Somebody had me dying. I can't remember who it was, but they said for the first time in history, an interim head coach need to be fired before he ends the season. and I couldn't agree more. I mean, he looks lost out there on the sidelines. I mean, I know he's relying on Reggie Wayne and all of them to kind of bail him out, but how do you give up a 33-point advantage? Even if you take your foot off the brake, you should never allow things like that to happen. And it's not like the Vikings came out and started causing mass turnovers, what they did to help the Colts build up that 33-0 lead. They just came out and just started executing, and then they just started scoring. And the rest is history. But I feel bad for Matty Ice, though. I mean, for him to be on the end of the Super Bowl with the Atlanta Falcons, giving up that big lead, biggest lead in Super Bowl history to the Patriots, and then this, I bet he wish he was still on the bench now.
It's funny you would say that because I was getting ready to say the exact same thing. I know Ice knows how it feels because he did the exact same thing down in Atlanta. It was that Super Bowl. They was up 28 points.
Yeah.
And lost the game.
He was actually up 25. It was 28-3.
28-3. Right.
Okay.
But now he has to go down in NFL history as giving up the biggest lead in the Super Bowl and the biggest lead in the regular season ever. That's crazy. That's crazy. And I got to give your boy Kirk a little love. He played horrible.
Because y'all was talking trash at the table. Thank you, Big Red.
He played horrible in the first half. He had 2 first half turnovers that led to points, but he came back in the second half, ended up throwing 4 TDs in the second half and throwing 460 yards and those 4 TDs went to 4 different receivers. So I got to give him to him. But yeah, Jeff Saturday, it was a good run. You got your job waiting for you back at ESPN. Enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
We mentioned that the Eagles continue to do what they do, 13-1, holding off the Bears, 25-20. Jalen Hurts also. It was a lot of teams, the better teams. I think they may have overlooked some of their opponents because the Eagles started off slow. As we just said, the Vikings almost gave their game away. The Bengals started off slow. The Chiefs started off slow. It's like all of them were playing quote-unquote inferior teams, and they kind of took them for granted. But the Eagles figured out what to do, won 25-20. Jalen Hurts didn't throw the ball great in the first half, threw 2 interceptions. He only had 3 for the whole season, so that was huge. But he strapped it up and fixed things and ended up, leading them to the win, throwing for 315 yards, and ran 3 touchdowns.
Right. Hey, you know what, and we talked about this before. We talked about this with the Kansas City Chiefs. Watching the Eagles now, it's like they just sleepwalking, and then they'll turn it on just enough to get a victory, or you might catch them slipping during the regular season, but then it's like playoff time, they can hit that next gear, because it just seems like the whole time they were just toying with Chicago. Then they got a 2-touchdown lead to close it out. Chicago really got a garbage touchdown at the end, but for 3 quarters, it's like they were just going through the motions.
For me, the best game to watch this past weekend was the Buffalo Bills and the Miami Dolphins.
That was a great game.
That was a phenomenal game, and it literally could have went either way.
Yeah.
But Josh Allen did what he was supposed to, took his team to the promised land.
Yeah, Tua was too, man. Like you say, it could have went either way.
Josh Allen was a monster in that game. He ended up throwing for 300 yards, had 4 touchdowns, and he rushed for 77 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He literally put the Bills on the shoulder because they were trailing going into the fourth quarter. So
Yeah.
that was a good one.
I can't sleep on Miami no more. They
Mm-hmm.
really are a top-notch team.
And I think the weather had just a little bit of edge for Buffalo, just a little.
Especially in that fourth quarter, it started snowing. It was like, oh hell! They was doing okay with the cold. When it started snowing, it was like, oh, here we go.
That's why home field advantage is key.
Absolutely. And Professor, you're right. The Chiefs looked like they was just sleepwalking when they were playing the Texans, toying with them, and ended up having to go to overtime to win it. And what's crazy about that game, even though it was so close, 30-24, Patrick Mahomes was 36 for 41. He only had 5 incompletions the whole game.
Yeah.
So
one of them incompletions, he should have hit Juju Smith-Schuster. He'd still be running. He tried to force the ball downfield.
Yeah, that Raiders touchdown in the last seconds.
It was insane.
That was crazy.
That man's foot was out of bounds, fellas. I don't know what they couldn't see in the truck when they were reviewing that touchdown. They had a shot from right above showing his foot on the sideline. There was clearly his foot was on the white. But they like, we owe the Raiders one, so we're gonna let them slide.
Man,
I was gonna say that won't be the first time.
Yeah, you can't tell me cash don't be changing hands in the NFL, man. Some of these
Hell
calls, especially the 2 at the end of the Washington game, man, didn't make any sense.
Yeah. But then they get the touchdown. The game is getting ready to go into overtime. And what did the New England Patriots do? That last game with the laterals. And y'all know I'm an Alabama fan. So, I felt bad for my boy Mac.
Yeah, he got planted. But did you realize that Jones was the one that missed the tackle on the running back and ended up getting the ball and taking it back? If he had made the tackle, they would have went into overtime. But he missed that tackle, and y'all saw what transpired.
Yeah,
touchdown!
It's crazy.
That was a gift too. I mean, I'm gonna catch a ball, and all I gotta do is see a quarterback in front of me.
Yeah, that was ugly. Yeah, you shouldn't do people like that. That man got family watching.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. Hey, fellas, if you're in the AFC, you do not want to see Cincinnati. Joe Burrow and that offense is a problem, but their defense, you better score all the points you can in the first half. They'll let you score in the first half. Their defense coordinator, Lou Anarumo, when he go into halftime, he come out make adjustments. You'll be lucky if you get to score one more time against that team in the second half. They shut everything down. They forced 4 consecutive turnovers against the Tampa Bay Bucks to turn that game around. Tampa Bay was winning, looked like in total control. Next thing you know, they down double digits.
TB don't look the same, does he?
Nah, because he's getting his tail handed to him.
Is it time for him to let it go, though?
Yeah, it's time.
Yeah, he should have let it go after he won the championship.
Right, he should have walked off into the sunset. Yeah.
49ers, I mentioned it early, their defense is the best in the league. They beat the Seahawks 21-13. Brock Purdy doing enough, scoring a couple of touchdowns, staying out the way, not making any big mistakes. And then that defense says it's over. They really only allowed 3 points. They gave him a touchdown at the end.
God.
It didn't matter.
So do you see the 49ers going to the Super Bowl?
No. It's easy.
Nah, if Jalen Hurts is healthy and can play, I still like Philly. Philly is that one team, they can beat you too many ways that's going to spread that defense and force that defense to play different than everybody else.
But
if Philly don't want that cold.
If Philly has to play, but if Philly has to play the 49ers, whose team is going to excel the most? The defense on the 49ers or the offense of the Eagles?
Well,
Well,
don't
the
sleep on the
difference is
defense of the Eagles either.
the defense of the Eagles is like the number 3 ranked defense in the NFL. So I think they're going to be able to shut the 49ers down more than San Francisco's defense is going to be able to stop Philly's offense. That's going to be the difference.
Even if the 49ers run the ball more than throw the ball, because we all know that's how you beat the Eagles is run the ball.
Yeah, but they're getting all their players back. They're getting their big rookie defensive tackle. He just came back last game, and he's going to be back in the flow. They got Sue integrated into the team, so you're not running on them as much as it was in the middle of the season. So that's not going to be as simple.
And they better pray Debo come back whole so he can help. Because if he don't, I don't see that happening. Plus, we talking about warm weather team have to travel into that cold in January. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Yo, them Cowboys, they figure out a way.
They always do.
They figure out
The
a way.
gift that keeps on giving.
It's December, y'all. Y'all know what time it is.
I mean, that vaunted defense looks like a cream puff today. They allowed Jacksonville to throw 40 up on them.
Yeah.
And I give it to Dak. He didn't have a bad game. He had one bad throw. That first interception he threw was horrible. But I mean, Noah
that
Brown.
last one wasn't his fault.
Noah Brown, who scored 2 touchdowns, is having a great game, had 100 yards, gets a ball that hits him in his chest instead of catching it with his hands, bounces up, and as Dallas, their luck goes right into the hands of Rayshon Jenkins, and he took it back 54 yards for the game-winning pick 6. So,
that was beautiful. That was a thing of beauty. Watching him just run back. Touchdown.
Yeah.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. Y'all mentioned how the Washington probably got robbed in the final 2 plays to possibly tie up the game against the Giants. Giants beat Washington 20-12. Terry McLaurin checks with the side official to make sure he on the line. The official says move up. He moves up, gives a thumbs up, and as soon as the play starts, that official throw the flag.
Routine play.
Which would have been a touchdown. Right. And then they run another play, and the Giants DB is literally giving a wide receiver a hug.
Before the ball
and they were called interference.
Before the ball gets there.
Yeah. that was a nice hug, man. I love you.
Yeah. So it's
crazy.
We all know that's how, that's how Washington is. We know that the league doesn't really like their own and all that, so they definitely don't get the benefit of the doubt.
And here's the thing: right before the game came to its conclusion, they played that quote from Mara, the owner of the Giants, where he says how he doesn't like Washington and he would love to come in here and beat them. And then that's when the shenanigans started happening. So the timing of that was kind of interesting too.
And I got to give a shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin. I mean,
keep on keeping on.
At the end of the year, no matter how bad his team is banged up and all that, Tomlin figured out a way to have his team winning. They beat the Panthers 24-16. It wasn't pretty by no stretch of the imagination. But they got 3 games left, fellas. They got the Raiders, which is vulnerable. They got the Ravens, who Lamar may or may not be back. And if Lamar not back, we see that Ravens offense can't score. And it's horrible. And then they got the Browns in the last game of the year. The Browns, they talking 1, 2, 3 Cancun already. So
actually, their quarterback, he just got back and he ready for a vacation.
So
he looks horrible.
Can Tomlin pull it off and get his boys to win 3 more?
I actually think he will. I do. I think he will. He Teflon Don, man. He not breaking it. He loses seasons to Pittsburgh.
I mean, even at 8-9, that's a hell of a season for what he had to go through and their lack of players.
Oh, man.
And what y'all think about Denver? Russell Wilson gets cleared from concussion protocol, and they say, go ahead, Russell, you just sit out another week. We want to make sure you're good. And they go out and beat the Cardinals. Now, the Cardinals are horrible. And then their backup quarterback, Colt McCoy, get injured in that game. He go out with a concussion. So they to their third string. But still, they win a game that Russell Wilson doesn't play in.
I actually sit Russ for the rest of the year, man. I mean, they're not going anywhere. Why get them hurt? Just say we better luck next year.
Because he is their future.
And do you think that coach cares about if Russell Wilson gonna get hurt or not? He trying to save his job because he know he on the chopping block.
Well, if I'm Russ, I'm coming up with some kind of injury because I need that dude fired like yesterday.
They say Russ was pissed because he wanted to play. They even showed they have photos of Russ Friday night in the casinos in Denver. You know that ain't something Russ doing. So Russ going through some things. So this week you got some intriguing games for Week 16. The Thursday night game is actually going to be a decent game. You got the Jags at the Jets.
Yes, I can't wait.
8:15. Both of these teams are in the wild card playoff hunt, so both need a win. And then most of the NFL games this weekend, folks, are going to be played on Saturday, Christmas Eve. Some of the big games: Washington visits the 49ers, the Bills play the Bears. You got the Seahawks at the Chiefs, the Giants at the Vikings, Bengals at the Patriots, Lions at the Panthers, Falcons at the Ravens, all 1 o'clock games. So it's going to be a big 1 o'clock slate on Saturday. And then you got the Eagles at the Cowboys at 4:25, and the nightcap is the Raiders at the Steelers. And then we got 3 games on Sunday. And the major game on Sunday is the Packers at the Dolphins, and then the Bucks at the Cardinals, just because it's the Sunday night game. And Monday night's the dud, Chargers at Colts.
The NFL so nice to the NBA because if they got their full slate on Sunday, the NBA would have got smashed.
Yeah,
That's nice. That's nice.
So that's your NFL wrap up. So plenty to keep you busy as you wrapping gifts, getting ready for family to come over, getting ready to go over a family member's house. You can catch some sports before you go out there. Professor, I know you had a special post takes for us this evening. It's been a minute. Glad to get it in.
All right. And y'all gonna like this one because you alluded to him a little bit earlier. So here's my title for today: Seasons of Change. Let's talk about change agents Neon Deion Primetime Sanders and Brittany Griner. Sanders became the head football coach of Jackson State in September of 2020. Since then, he has completely overhauled the program. JSU immediately got a brand new football practice facility and upgrades to their locker room. But the changes to JSU run far deeper. In the early 70s, JSU was on the map for cultivating the future Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion, and Russian king, Walter Sweetness Payton. Deion came in to pay homage, but also to write his own history. Over the years, HBCUs have enjoyed marginal success at best. Everyone remembers the Bayou Classic between Southern University and Grambling State University every year like clockwork. Throw in Howard, Hampton, and a few other well-known rivals and classics, and that made up HBCU football on a regional and national scale. Needless to say, Coach Prime changed all of that. According to Boardroom, Sanders helped to generate $185 million in advertising and exposure for the university. The impact of ESPN and other networks showcasing HBCUs is now at an all-time high. There are now players of top-notch talent that are considering HBCUs, where in the past they would not even have batted an eye or to step foot on the campus of a HBCU. JSU players have been able to take full advantage of NIL practices and endorsements. That national notoriety of the school has now skyrocketed. They have a very rich contract with Under Armour. His coaching acumen and records speak for themselves. 2 SWAC titles and 2 Celebration Bowl appearances. Now the Celebration Bowl this year would have been the icing on the cake, but who's going to complain? Coach Prime, his players, the school, the fans, they all been rewarded. Let's squelch the controversy. If any of you were offered a better job doing what you love, the money and the opportunities were endless, you would have done the same thing. Let's take money out of the equation because he's done so much for others along the way. Coach Prime is that change agent because he has proven time and time again that he consistently thinks about other people. So most people are just focused on his electric personality, but the Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winning player, and he's done some pretty other nice things as well. So don't put money into it because we all know Deion's not broke. Coach Prime actually has been that change agent and, dare I say, hope establisher. He looked out for players, coaches, athletic department, the school, and ultimately for other HBCU programs. He established and left a blueprint for others to follow. Stop getting caught up in all the hoopla and things that are going on. Just look at the fruit of his labor. He spoke for himself when he said it was not about the money. It is about making a difference and changing the way the game is played and coached. Who said that Colorado would be his only next step or move? If other HBCUs follow the blueprint of recruiting the best talent, placing them in fine facilities with great coaching and staffs, and getting them exposure for the next level, then our HBCUs can start to benefit from the revenue stream that feeds so many PWIs. How many Black families out there would stand with pride at sending their kid to an HBCU? So instead of hating on Deion and claiming that he exploited the school and players, just look at the truth staring you right in the face. Look at his impact and the results of his sacrifice. Deion did not make a lot of money from the school during his tenure. In fact, he gave some of the money back. He has accomplished everything that he has set out to do, period. And let's flip over to Brittany Griner. Again, you see, welcome home officially. Your whole ordeal has shown the world what type of woman you are, and your voice is about to be louder than any athlete during a time when standing up is once again necessary. It is not just about playing basketball now, even though we cannot wait to see you back on the court. Use your platform and continue to spark change in the WNBA and beyond. It is time to pay these women so that they don't get caught up overseas in conflicts that are not their own just to make money that they deserve. Come on, NBA, and help us do the right thing. These are my post takes for this week. Thank you. God bless. Back to you, Big Rage.
Man, I like both of those. Great points.
Mhm.
Great points. All right, fellas, it is time for us to get up out of here. So let's get our final post of the evening. Then, J3, what you got for me?
Yeah, real quick, to all my bowling fans, we don't talk about bowling a lot. However, it is a sport, a competitive sport. And I want to shout out to two individuals, Edward Mackey, who shot a 747 last week. And I also want to shout out James Geiger, who shot a nice 299 on Friday. Both are Black bowlers that I bowl with, and I really appreciate their greatness. I salute you.
All
And
right,
to put that
all right.
a little bit of aspect for people who don't bowl, a perfect game is 300.
Yep,
So that means that man shot
11 in a row.
11 straight strikes, and the
Mhm.
last ball had a 9.
Yep.
Oh, that hurts.
That's
And
crazy.
then to do what'd you say, a
747
747. So that's a 249 average
each game.
for 3 games.
Yeah,
Whew,
yeah.
that's doing some things.
Bowling with greatness. Absolutely.
What you got, Professor?
So I know I hate to take us out on the somber note, but Bridge, I know you'll lift us back up. But I just want everybody to keep my family in your prayers. We just lost a dear cousin today. They had to take her off of life support. So please keep the Cohens Fuller family in your prayers, as now we got to get ready through these holidays to get ready for a homegoing service. So just keep us in your prayers. Thank you.
As always, but definitely we will put out some extra prayers for you and your family in this time of sorrow. Speaking of time of sorrow, of course, we want to wish everybody happy holidays, however you celebrate that. if you celebrate that, whether that's Hanukkah, whether that's Christmas, Kwanzaa, however you decide to celebrate holidays. Happy holidays.
Hanukkah.
But there's a lot of people out there that the holidays are a sad time for. So again, I implore you to reach out to family and friends to check on people. If you hadn't heard from somebody that you really care about for a while, reach out, touch base with them. Just say, hey, let them know that you love them. You never know what that could do. If they need to talk, ask them if they need to talk, how they doing, how they feeling. Because something hit me last week that happened. A famous dancer / DJ was known as by Twitch. After celebrating his anniversary with his wife over the weekend, killed himself 3 days later. And most people say that they didn't know he was struggling. So reach out to your loved ones, hug them, especially in this time where everybody thinks it's a happy time. For a lot of people, it's hard, especially if they lost loved ones, parents, spouses, children. So just reach out and then just hug and love everybody. This is a time for giving. Remember the reasons for the seasons. If you celebrate Christmas or however you celebrate again, and just be there for each other. Before we finally get out of here, again, a couple of quick announcements. Starting January 3rd, the show will be changing the starting time from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. on our Tuesday live show. Same great show, just starting an hour later. And next week, we will be dropping our annual Boxing Year in Review show on our platform. So not only look for the regular live show, look for the Boxing Year in Review. As always, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. We're here each and every Tuesday. For now at 7 p.m., soon to be 8 p.m. for our live show. You can also download this show and previous shows via our Facebook page or our YouTube page, or listen to our shows on your favorite podcasting platforms. Just punch in Positions on Sports Talk Show. You'll find us. Please like and subscribe. Descriptions are free. Greatly appreciate that. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Positions on Sports. And our Twitter handle is at Positions on SBO1. We love to hear from you. And as always, we greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, tell you our positions on sports. Please tell your friends, family members, social media contacts about the show. It would be an honor for us. Have a great evening. Have a great week. Happy holidays again. And this has been the Positional Sports Talk Show. Peace.
Congratulations again, J Many, JSU.
Yay, yay.